Your writing group hands your pages back and someone says the 7 words every writer dreads. I just didn't care about the protagonist. And it stings because you know this person. You know their childhood, their trust issues, their favorite breakfast. So how do you know everything about this character and the reader feels nothing? Here is the answer, and it is going to take some pressure off. A flat character is not a talent problem. It is a technique problem. And it comes down to one thing. 1, not 5. You are describing your character instead of revealing them. All that beautiful backstory is sitting in your notes, and on the page, you're handing the reader labels. Stubborn, guarded, loyal. A label is not a person. Here's the gap that nobody talks about. You were taught what characters need. A wound, a goal, a flaw. Nobody taught you how to get those things off the character sheet and onto the page where the reader can actually feel them. So that is what we are doing. 5 techniques for revealing instead of describing. For each one, I'll demonstrate with a before and after so you can see exactly what changes. Then I have one filter you can run every scene through, so this doesn't slip away from you at chapter 14. This is the single most common note I give as an editor. It is also the one that decides whether someone finishes your book or puts it down at page 40. Let's go. First technique, give your character a wound and a lie they believe. Most writers have the wound already. You know the thing that happened to her. The problem is the wound is sitting in your notes doing nothing, or it was dumped with backstory to check the box. A wound by itself is just history. What makes it operational is the false conclusion your character drew from it, the lie. If I let people in, they leave. I am only worth what I produce. If I need help, I am weak. That lie quietly shapes every decision they make, and that is what gives their behavior a hidden logic, one the reader can feel long before they could name it. Watch what that looks like on the page. She didn't trust easily because of her past. That is a label with a footnote. It tells the reader a fact and gives them nothing more. He offered to help carry the boxes, and she said she had it, even as the strap cut into her shoulder and the bottom one started to slip. Now you are watching the lie, I can't rely on anyone, costing her something in real time in a painful small moment. And notice, I never used the word trust, not once. I didn't have to. That is the whole point. The second technique, put what they want in conflict with what they need. This is the big one. This is where flat characters actually get made. Here is what flat looks like structurally. Things happen and the character reacts. The plot pushes, they respond. The plot pushes again. It reads fine, and it technically is a story, and yet the reader feels nothing because reaction is passive. A character we can't look away from is one who wants something so badly that they cause the events themselves. Think about the difference. A generic action hero punches the bad guy because the bad guy is bad. We feel nothing. Now, think about Walter White. We are riveted, and not because of what happens to him. It's because of what his own pride and resentment push him to choose. Or Katniss, whose every move is driven by one fierce specific need to protect her sister. The plot is not moving them around. Their inner need is generating the plot. So how do you build that? You give them a want and a need that pull in opposite directions. The want is the external goal. Win the promotion. The need is the internal truth they are avoiding. Admit they are terrified of becoming their father. Now, every single choice is a tug of war and the reader can feel the rope. He wanted to win the case and prove himself. That is a want with no need attached. There is nothing pulling against it, so there is no tension, so there is no scene. He could win the case by throwing his mentor under the bus. He told himself it was just strategy. His hand hovered over the file for a long time. That hesitation is the want and need wrestling. That pause over the file, that is drama. And I want you to notice how little happened there. He didn't even actually do anything, and yet we felt the internal battle. Third, show them under pressure. Here is where writers lose their reader in the first chapter without knowing it. They introduce the character in a calm moment, waking up, making coffee, thinking about their life. But you do not reveal character in calm. Calm is where people perform. Pressure is what strips the performance down and shows us who is actually under there. She was a calm and rational person. Oof, that's about the least interesting way we could share that with the reader. The smoke alarm shrieked. Everyone else froze. She grabbed the kid, kicked the door open, and only started to tremble once they were all outside. We learn more about her in those 2 sentences than in 3 paragraphs of how calm and rational she is in the form of labels. And action under pressure is where the character actually lives, by the way. Showing fear only once everyone was outside, that's a very specific kind of person. That's someone who has learned to postpone their own fear. Don't tell me she's brave. Set the building on fire and let me watch. 4th, let them be contradictory. Real people are gloriously inconsistent. We are brave about enormous things and cowardly about small ones. We are generous on Tuesday and petty on Thursday about the same thing. But fictional characters get written too logically. They're too consistent, like they were assembled from a spec sheet where every trait agrees with every other trait. And a perfectly consistent person does not read as a person. It reads as a profile. So give them one contradiction. And the key word is one. And the other key word is specific. Not she's complicated. One concrete surprising inconsistency we can actually see happen. He was a good and loyal friend. Or he'd drive 4 hours to help you move. He would also let the Venmo request for lunch that one Thursday expire 3 times over 4 months before he'd actually pay it. I already know that guy. You already know that guy. You might be that guy. And notice what happened. I did not make the character more complicated. I made him minutely specific using exactly one detail, but it was a detail readers can relate to and identify. 5th, give them a distinct lens through which they view the world. Perspective is unique to each character and it flows through the narration and dialogue. It's what they notice, what they fixate on, what they would never say out loud. 2 characters can walk into the same room and describe 2 completely different rooms because voice is not only how they talk. Perspective is their lens on the world. I'm fine, she said. Or, I'm fine, she said, already reorganizing the salt and pepper shakers so they lined up with the napkin holder. The character says the same line of dialogue, identical. But what she's noticing tells us she is absolutely not fine. She is fidgeting and soothing her panic with a small thing she can control in real time. Your character's lens is character and personality leaking out around the edges of their words. Okay, here's the trap, and almost everyone falls in it, including people who do everything I just said. You do all of this at the outline stage. You build the wound, the lie, the contradiction, you feel incredible. And then you start drafting. And chapter by chapter, the plot starts making demands. Get her to the warehouse, set up the reveal, move the scene. Your attention drifts to the machinery and quietly, without any single moment where it happens, the character goes flat again. This is not a discipline failure. It is what drafting does to everyone. I call our solution to this problem the character filter. 2 questions before you write any scene. What does this character want in this exact moment? And what are they afraid of right now? That's it. 2 questions. Let me show you what it does. For example, here's your scene. She has to go to the warehouse and find the file. That is a plot instruction. If you write it as written, you will get a competent scene where a woman finds a file. Now, run the filter. What does she want in this moment? She wants to get in and get out without running into her brother. What is she afraid of? That he'll be there and he will be glad to see her. She's going to notice different things on the way in. She's going to move differently through that building, and she's going to hesitate at a door that would have been nothing. Same plot momentum, same file, completely different scene. And now the character is alive inside the mechanics. The plot did not change. She showed up more vibrantly within it. So here is what it all comes down to. Stop describing your characters. Start revealing them. That's it. That's the entire point. Labels go flat. Behavior comes alive. 5 ways to do it. The lie they believe, the need that fights their want, the pressure that strips their performance, the contradiction that makes them a person instead of a profile, and the lens that shows the reader what they notice. And notice what is not on this list. More backstory. Not one of these asks you to invent more. They all ask you to get what you already have in your brain onto the page. So here's your homework. Take a scene you have already written. Open it back up and rewrite it, asking those 2 questions. What does this character want? And what is this character afraid of right now? Do not add new plot. Do not add a new beat. Let a fear shape what they do, what they notice, and what they refuse to say. I promise you will watch that scene change in front of you. If this clicked for you, drop a comment and tell me. What's a character that has stayed with you for years? They could be from a movie, a book, or a show. And if you can, tell me why you think they stuck. I read every comment and I love seeing the range of answers people come up with. And if you want more of this, the actual craft underneath the writing advice, the stuff that makes your writing feel alive, subscribe and stick around. I'm sharing a new video every week, so I'll see you next time.